Hmm, goodness. Hello, everybody. I don't know why my color is like this. It's so yellow. Oh my. Can you all? I, I don't know what is going on. Does my color look crazy to you? I don't know how to adjust that. Settings. Hmm. No, I don't think that's it. Well, let me see. Maybe I look okay to y'all. Probably not. Go away. Hope everybody had a good day today. Easter Monday. Bet a lot of people probably were off work. Yeah. Crazy. No, why is it so yellow? Don't know. I do not know. That's right, I'm international. Sure am. Blue eyed Southern girl. Yeah, I'm yellow and green. I don't know what to do about that. I'm so sorry. Does anybody know how to fix that? Before it was my volume. Oh, thank you. Well, it did this. It kind of changed by itself. But does oh, is Felsie here? Hey, Felsie, today. Oh, thank you, Eris. Hey, Queen Callie. Oh, Amanda Love. Hey, Stephanie. Y'all, is it bothering you? Because I don't know. Maybe if I take this light away, is that better? Just act like I meant to do. Okay, it'll go along with my crime story. I really apologize, guys. Is that a little better? A little bit better? My audio's cutting in and out a bit. Good Lord. I might have to get my. No, it's fine. Okay. Tokyo Yellow. All right, y'all holler at me if my audio goes out because I'm going to be talking and I probably will get to talking and forget what I'm doing here. So I know it's too yellow, Kathy. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if I should try to start again, but I'm just going to go with it. Okay, thank you, Laced with Lazy Hippie. Love you, honey. Hey, Anna. Um, Diane, thank you for being here, sweetheart. Let me just start talking then, and maybe it'll get better. The reason I decided, I was thinking about this all day today, and I was going to come on earlier. I apologize, but I'm not really sure. I know I have friendships with a lot of people outside of YouTube, and a lot of that I've met on YouTube outside of YouTube that I've shared my story with, and they know about my background. And I've shared here many times. And I've also, hey, Sweet Meadow, hey, Willow. And I've also shared, anytime it comes up that's we're in a conversation, I'm very open to talk about it. I'm actually surprised more people haven't had questions, which kind of makes me think that maybe people don't want to ask. Hey, Donna, it's nostalgic for you. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for saying that. Adnan, I still want to know a little bit more about your story and how we're connected. Yellow is your favorite color. Janice, you all are so sweet. Last time you all put up with me with my sound being messed up. I mean, my gosh, am I like as ghetto as they come? I swear. You don't know your story or your background. Okay, well, great. And I did want to say a couple people asked me for my PayPal information. And oh, thank you. Debbie Lynn's here. You sweet thing. I love some Debbie Lynn. And happy Easter to you. I didn't get to say happy Easter. Hey, Embry. Anyway, I figured out what my PayPal information was. I didn't know it. I was giving the wrong information, but I think I put the link in the description. It's just paypal.me/Marla Stecky, my name, and that should take you right there. Or Diane said you could also go through my email, which is Marla Stecky 1978, the year I was born, at gmail.com. So just a little disclaimer, if anybody can give through there for, I'm not talking about just for me, for anybody, because YouTube is so nasty with all the percentage that they take. It's just awful. So, okay, back to my story. Hey, Christy. Hey, Mama Beth. So I guess it was twofold. Yeah, thinking that probably a lot of new people, maybe some old people didn't know and probably was curious about what my story was, what was true, what wasn't true. And okay, good, Stephanie, thank you. Um, then when you know who the evil one rejudged all of these lies, half truths, some truths, it would probably be very confusing to people to understand, oh, was that true and wasn't that true? And even Wendy, sweet Wendy, I was talking to her on the phone the other day and she's like, well, wait a minute, was that true? Because she didn't even know. And I'm very close with her. So I figured, why don't I just go ahead and tell from the beginning and then you all can ask questions. Like I said, I'm surprised more people have embraced me so openly and never asked, well, what was prison like? Or what is it that you actually did? What is true? What isn't true? So that's what I'm going to talk about for the most part. And I'm not planning on staying on real long. We were up till like 3 o'clock in the morning last night. Sweet Diane and Wendy, and as long with several other people, had an epic live stream, but it was very healing, I think, very important, and I appreciate them all doing that. And they're doing it all free. Like I said, they're not making any money off it. Diane's not making a dime off any of this. All of them are doing this for their free time. Wendy doesn't even have a channel, so she's certainly not trying to climb the YouTube channel, the YouTube chain of command. So I just appreciate you all. Oh, Sassy, Marla, Steph, and Amanda are three women who have opened my mind and my heart. Donna, those are some good people right there. Hey, Lacey. So I apologize if I don't look at the chat completely, but I'm gonna keep me forgetting what I'm trying to say. So, all right. So basically, I'm about to be 40 on May 22nd, and so my story begins. I had a very, very perfect life for the most part. You know, I was in a single parent household, but I had a wonderful, loving mother and I had a wonderful childhood, loved high school, went to college in the mountains of North Carolina, loved college, majored in psychology and I wanted to do something with that, but ended up going back and getting my teaching certificate. Came back to Raleigh and I taught for 5 years. I taught second grade. I was very, very active in yoga. I actually was a yoga teacher, and I even taught my kids yoga as well as the teachers. I would after school, I would teach yoga to them. Um, I was very, very into fitness. I worked at the gym while I was in college and actually started getting into, well, I had always ran. I had always run. I ran in high school, track, and then I just always would run. I loved running. I wanted to be on an athletic team, but I wasn't coordinated enough to do any of that. But I could run. I couldn't run real fast, but I could run really long. So I ran in college and then I even trained for a couple marathons and half marathons. And I continued that mixed with some yoga because I had broken my leg my senior year of high school really badly. And my doctor actually told me I would never be able to run again. But of course I did. And, but my leg would kind of bother me sometimes. So I got into yoga to try to help that. Seeing if I can fix this a little bit. Um, so I continued to be very, very active while I was teaching. And I've said before, I was teacher of the year twice. Well, I just knocked myself right out of there, didn't I? Color changed. Yeehaw. Okay, I'm not going to touch it. um, and then I started into getting really interested. And I had an opportunity to be able to stop teaching. I actually lived in one of the homes of the students that I taught. They were going over to England for 5 years, and they asked me to take care of their beautiful 5-bedroom house and their dog until they were able to come back. So it allowed me to start my own catering business. And I also worked as a corporate chef for kitchen and bath galleries. And while I was doing that, a good friend of mine whose father and brother were dentists asked me if I would go help them out because they had just lost their office manager. And I was friends with her throughout high school, so I knew the family pretty well. And I said, well, I don't know anything about dentistry. And she said, oh, it's okay. We'll train you. So I was supposed to be there for like 6 weeks, helping them out, and I ended up staying there for 6 years. Um, Back when I was a teacher, I'd met my boyfriend, and we had moved in together after I lived in that one house I was telling you about. That ended up not, the people ended up coming back early. And so my boyfriend and I got a house, and we had beautiful dogs and horses and a wonderful, awesome life that I've told you all about many times. We had beautiful friends that, we had parties with and dinner with several times a week. I just had a really, really nice life. I was really into gardening and had a gorgeous yard. I just was a healthy, normal, good daughter, good friend, good everything. Um, Never experimented with drugs. I like to drink champagne, but other than that, never was into any of that. And then when I turned 30, so almost 10 years ago, um, I was at the dentist office working. And I was up at the front, obviously, because that's where I work. And we used to sit with little heater. Now I have a fan because I'm constantly hot. But at the time, I was always cold. And I sat with a little heater. And I started getting really bad pain in my feet. And it felt like they were on fire, like somebody was holding an iron to them and wouldn't let go. And along with that, there would be extra sharp pain that would make me actually like jump up out of my seat. Well, of course, I had no idea what this was. And it was starting to get worse and worse and worse. And I remember all I needed to do was to take Advil. So I would go to the lounge area and take Advil. It wouldn't help or kind of help a little bit, take more Advil. And I remember I just took tons of Advil because I didn't know any other kind of pain medication, wasn't familiar with anything, and I didn't know what to do. And, my mom's a nurse, and um, I remember the first doctor I went to, he said, oh, well, we'll just get you a pair of orthotics. And I asked him about the pain because it was getting to the point that it was really, really affecting my life. And he said, well, you dealt with it this, you're going to have to keep dealing with it. I was like, okay. At this time, I had no physical signs of anything on my feet or legs or anything. They looked fine. So that began a long journey of going to doctors after doctors after doctors. And by the way, I didn't have medical insurance at the time, so I was paying out of pocket for all of this. My boyfriend and I were. And every doctor was basically telling me the same thing. They didn't know. I had one person misdiagnosed me, and I got rounds of cortisone shots, which were pretty painful. They didn't help. time I went to a new doctor and they would give me a new treatment, I would think, okay, this is it. Finally, I'm going to get my life back. And it never did. It just kept getting worse. It was getting to the point that I was not sleeping at all at night. Truly, I was not sleeping at all. And it felt better if I was on my feet, kind of like stimulating the nerves and the muscles. So I would try to lay down and go to sleep with my boyfriend, but I would end up getting up and walking around the house all night long. And I ended up like sleepwalking. Several times I ran into walls. One time I fell asleep standing up and like collapsed and broke my toe really badly. I mean, I'm talking really badly. I've got pictures. It's gross. Um, I was leaving work 3 days out of 5 because I just couldn't stand it anymore. My coworkers, the one thing that would help is putting them in hot water. Um, my feet in hot water. So my coworkers, like during the bucket of water that I would put underneath my table, and even though there were patients going in and out, they couldn't really see it, and they would change out my water throughout the day, which was so sweet. I mean, I had wonderful people around me, but nobody knew what to do. My boyfriend didn't know what to do. He was getting frustrated. My mom didn't. My friends didn't. So it just went on like this for 5 years. Of course, I stopped running. I went from running like 3 miles a day in the morning to 1 mile a day to walking to eventually it just made it worse. So I became very sedentary. I became obviously pretty depressed. I could still ride horses because it didn't really affect my feet, but my life was just awful. I was slowly all my joy was getting sucked out of me. I used to be a person that liked to do stuff on the weekend and ended up sleeping all weekend long or trying to sleep. And all I wanted to do was kind of lay around. I didn't want to go to parties anymore. I didn't want to go even see my family that much, just withdrawn. When I probably went to 12 different doctors, went to 12 different homeopathic type doctors and treatments like acupuncture and stones and different TENS stimulators, all of that. Nothing helped. If it did, it was for a very short period of time. I remember I used to bind my feet with those little hot packets that you put on your back, but I would get like 3 of them and put them around my feet and then bind my feet with, or my boyfriend did at the time, ace bandages. And that would get me like an hour of sleep. So that's how I lived. And by the way, those aren't cheap either for having to do that every night. So I remember I think it was Memorial Day, no, Labor Day weekend. And I was going to the Outer Banks with my boyfriend and a bunch of his family and some friends. And I was like, I don't even want to be in agony the whole time. And my boss at the time, not the dentist that worked there, but like what became the office manager where I worked, was like, well, I've got this medicine left over. Her dad had died a couple years before in hospice, was with hospice, and she helped take care of him. So she said she had some extra pills left over. Now I knew I was very against taking pain medication my whole life because I knew that my dad had struggled with that. And I just grew up knowing that that was not an acceptable thing, bad, stay away from it. But I was desperate at this point. I really didn't care. And I didn't even know what she was giving me. So she gave me a few. It got me through the weekend. And it not only got me through the weekend pain free, but I felt like myself again. I felt like the best version of myself. It was amazing. I didn't have any negative side effects. I didn't throw up. I was just happy, happy. And when I came back to work, I remember everybody who had seen me these past 5 years not really be myself was like, oh, Marla's finally herself. So you can kind of put the pieces together. I kept asking for more, kept asking for more. And I don't even know what exactly to this day what it is she gave me. I know there was morphine, there was maybe hydrocodone, oxycodone, I don't even know. But I would just take it whenever I needed it. And of course, that runs out. And I don't even remember what all I ended up doing, but I pieced together through having different people in my life who had had surgery and would give me stuff, or just here and there. Somehow I made it for a while. And then I just remember I was just so happy. I was like, well, this is easy. All my problems go away. I can actually kind of run again. I really feel like I want to do all the things that I didn't want to do. You know, I had kind of neglected my boyfriend, neglected everything because I was so much in pain. And when I was getting this medication, I remember I had this huge Christmas party and I cleaned for days, I cooked for days. I mean, I stayed up all night. When I was on this, I only needed a couple hours sleep and I felt great. Like I just was superwoman. So of course everybody was really happy that they didn't know what was making the difference, but they just knew, oh, okay, good. She's finally better. Good. Our prayers worked or whatever. Um, but I knew what was going on and I was scared because I knew that my supply was going to eventually run out and it did constantly. And I always had to scramble and think, what can I do? Where can I get something? And, you know, I don't really think I was necessarily addicted quite yet, but I was getting pretty close. If I wasn't physically addicted, I was addicted to not being in pain anymore, if that makes sense. So I remember getting my wisdom when I had somebody mentioned that I need my wisdom teeth out, and I was like, "Oh, good, perfect. That'll be great. I can get some medicine." So I got my wisdom teeth, and the doctor where I worked did it, and I remember he had a really hard time. He was going to do two, and it could do one because it took like 4 hours to do. So slowly he did three of them. I didn't get the last one out, but each time he did that, oh, he would give me a prescription afterwards. Um, and so that was great. You know, that got me through like, I don't know, maybe 2 months worth. So I was good for then. Finally, I got tired of scrambling, asking other people, being in pain again. Where am I going to get my next dose? What other things can I have surgery for? I mean, that's where your brain goes. That's how sick it is. Um, so since I would work to the front and had access to all the computers and everything, I thought, well, and I had written people, not written prescriptions for people, but we would print them out at the front and then have the doctor sign them. So I knew how to do all that. So I thought, well, why don't I just refill my prescription? You know, no harm, no foul. I knew it was wrong. I definitely knew it was wrong. Um, I was desperate. I had really gotten to the point where I really I thought about it long and hard before I did it. And I thought, I'm either going to end my life or I'm just going to go through with this because I cannot live like this anymore. Now, this is something I would never, ever have done normally. I was not a depressed person, suicidal person, but I just didn't want to wake up feeling like this anymore, or not even not wake up, not even go to sleep feeling like this. So it messes with when you're, especially just even lack of sleep will mess with your brain, and then being in constant chronic pain, it messes with your brain. And that's why today, you know, I'm obviously incredibly sympathetic to anybody who deals with chronic pain. So I refilled my prescription. And I think I even had a stamp that I could stamp the doctor's signature with. I can't remember. But I remember I printed it off at work, waited hours. I think I took it up to Walmart and then I drove to work at night. And I sat there because occasionally some of the pharmacies would call the office and verify prescription. And we would just say, yeah, that's so and so. We did write it and be done with it. So I thought, well, if they have any suspicions, I'll be back at the office. I'll answer the phone. You know, dumb. Why would they think somebody would be there working at 8 o'clock at night? But hey, Jude, thank you for asking that because I'm sure that I'm skipping over a lot. No doctor would give me any pain medicine. Nobody knew what was wrong with me. I wasn't, no doctor had given me any pain medicine, none. At that point, like I said, there was nothing physically wrong with my feet. So they told me basically it was all in my head. And even a couple of times, my boyfriend had gone with me and said, "Look, she does not sleep. She does not sleep. She's in constant pain." And the doctor literally said, "Women don't sleep." So thank you so much for asking, because that's probably a pretty common question. Why don't I just go to the doctor and get some pain medicine? Thank you for asking that. But they didn't know what was wrong with me, and they couldn't verify. They couldn't take an X-ray and see that I was in pain. Plus, it was hard for me to go to the doctor in the first place because I was paying completely out of pocket. But I did. I went to doctor after doctor after doctor after foot specialist after orthopedic surgeon, and nobody could find anything. And for some reason, they just didn't. This is right when pain medicine was getting really, really controlled, and so they sure as heck weren't going to give me a long-term dose or short-term dose, let alone a long-term dose of pain medicine, just because I said I was hurting. So that's the answer to that question. Thank you for asking that. So exactly, pain does not show up on X-rays, and I will fill you in if you don't already know with what's actually wrong with me in just a little bit, and so you'll understand a little bit more. Um, there are 3 times when I was trying to get a diagnosis, and you could see that something was wrong, and they still treated me like shit. So I just stopped going to the ER. Oh yeah, and I'm skipping over tons of stuff. I went to the ER, and I had my little pack. I went to ER like 14 times in one summer because I would get so like crazy with pain. I'm talking, the pain would not, it wasn't like a contraction where you knew it was going to end. Like, okay, I can bite down, grip, and I know it's going to be over with. This was constant. I mean, constant pain with jabs of like uncontrollable pain, if that makes sense. So, okay, what was I saying? Okay, so I refilled the prescription. Everything went easy. Went picked it up, got my, and I just filled it for what they gave me, which was a very low dose, 5 milligram. Um, Vicodin, I think is what it was, and it was like 12 pills. So, I wasn't trying to go crazy or anything. I just did refilled it, and it was like, I don't know, $3. And back then that lasted me quite a while. So I thought, well, this is easy. And, of course, once that ran out, I said, I can't do this again. But I did. And I did. And I did. And I got more, I went to different pharmacies around Wake County, which there are 10,000. So I had plenty to pick from. Um, Thinking that I was all sly. Well, I remember getting close to wintertime. It was getting dark, getting cold, and I just remembered I didn't want to go out, drive a little bit further to a different pharmacy that one night. And I actually went back to that same Walmart, I think, that I had started with, which was like within walking distance to my house at the time. I know. Hey, Jude, exactly. Um, And the pharmacist said, "It's too early for you to get a refill on this. You should already have some." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just take it back then." No, I said I was going to get busted. Yeah, they would treat people in pain like drug seekers. Life happens. I understand, because there are people who, I mean, I get that people abusing pain meds, but I really was in serious pain, and you see it on my face. But okay, thank you, Brooks, for telling me that. That makes me feel good. Because I sometimes, I don't want to reveal too much, because just like with B and other people, it's been used against them. But, I don't care. You're not going to hurt me. Like I said, I'm tough. It doesn't get to my heart. I've been through hell. I have been through hell. I have seen the devil up close and personal, which I will. get to. I'm trying to make this story brief, but there are certain things that you need to know for it to make sense. So, went home, was kind of sick to my stomach, knowing that something was wrong. Got up, went to work that next day, and the two doctors said they needed to speak with me. And I just remember, they asked, they were really good men. And, they knew me. We were like a family. So they were more hurt than anything. Oh, by the way, once they figured out that one was fraudulent, they could pull up every pharmacy within Wake County and show how many times I had done it. And it was like 12 different times. And, truly, I did not increase my dose, but a tiny bit. Like I went from 12 pills to 15 pills, but I still kept it low and it was still like the 5 milligrams. So I wasn't, if I look back on it, which is awful to say, but I would have been better off to get one large. I would have gotten in a lot less trouble had I done that. If I would have just gotten one big one, but I didn't know, and I knew it was wrong, like I said, but I didn't know how bad it was. I really didn't. Um, so the doctor said, we just want you to get help. We called a rehab for you. We'll even pay for you to go. We just need you to get help. And, I told them they didn't really understand how serious my situation was. They knew that I limped a lot and that I wore tennis shoes with dresses, and they knew something was wrong with my feet, but they didn't really know the extent of it. Because I tried to hide it from most people. You don't want people to see you suffering. Um, so only a few people really knew how deep it was. But anyway, so of course I get fired. I did not steal pills from my job. Most jobs don't have them just laying around unless you're a nurse. Um, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, I lost my job, but honestly, I was done working there anyway. So for like 2 weeks, I was good. I was happy. I still had leftover medicine, so I just spent all day at like the horse stables, riding horses and cleaning up, and I was just happy for a little while. I thought, well, shoot, I'm good to go. I don't need to go to rehab. People don't understand. I'm really in pain, so I was just living carefree. Little did I know, and I had to admit to my boyfriend that night what had happened. He had no idea that this was going on. He would have killed me, because he knows more about the law than I do that I did at that time. I know more than him now, but which by the way, we're not together anymore, but that's neither here nor there. Um, so, he was like, why did you do that? But of course he understand because he saw me. Your mom went to prison for forgery of darkest set. Really, Mandy? Yeah. It's very, very serious charge, which I will tell you in just a minute. Fast forward 2 weeks, and there was a knock at my door. It was like 10 o'clock on Friday morning. I was still in my pajamas. I think I was like drinking a mimosa. That's how dumb I was, not thinking pain pills. But I really was taking a pretty low dose, just enough to make me okay throughout the day. And two DA agents were standing at the door. Now, I want you to understand how naive I was. I had never been in trouble, never been close to being arrested. Only thing I've ever gotten was a speeding ticket. Clueless about how serious what I did was. So I'm like, come on in. Meanwhile, there's like a gun rack on the wall, with antique guns on it, and they're looking around. I've got two boxers who are going crazy but who are sweet as can be. Anyway, they're looking at me like, okay, you're going to need to get dressed and come down with us. And I was like, okay. And the lady even said, if you want to put a little makeup on, you can. I was like, all right. I thinking this was nothing. I was going to lunch with my girlfriend that day, and I remember saying to them, is this going to take long? Because I've got an appointment to one of my friends for lunch at 12:30. And they were like, just make sure your dogs have food and water, and we'll let you know. They knew I was not coming back, but they were playing it cool. So we went down to the station. We went below it and to some conference room, and I just told them completely the truth, totally and completely. And I remember the one woman was very nice, and I was crying, and she handed me a tissue and got me some coffee and everything. And the man, he was just such a dick. He was insistent that I did not take all those pills myself, that I was in it on with somebody else. I was trying to sell them because they're going to get a bigger charge out of the situation if I was selling them. So he just kept pestering me. I'm like, no, dude, I took them all. I'm in pain. I did. Nobody else knew about this. I did everything myself. So anyway, and then and I'm like, well, can I go home now? And they're like, no, we got to process you. So they processed me with all the junk that entails. And they said, okay, well, now you need to see the magistrate. And I didn't even know what a magistrate was. I didn't know what a bond was. They said, if your bond is unsecured, then we'll take you back home. Well, they knew damn good and well my bond was not going to be unsecured. So I went in front of the magistrate and they're standing with me. And I'm thinking maybe I'm going to be a little late for my lunch date, but I'll get home and this was a horrible experience, but I'll just get on with it. And the magistrate looks at my charges and he said it's a $50,000 bond. As soon as he said that, those two DE agents ran out the door, locked it behind them, and I'm just standing there like, I don't even know what that means. Holy shit! Oh my god, what's going on? Each of the charges, and like I said, I think I had 10 or 12, was 7 years in prison. Was the what each one of those charges was facing? So I was like, I just ended my life basically. Scared to death. Didn't know what to do, made some phone calls. Of course, nobody's going to be able to come up with that money on the fly. We didn't own a home to put up for a bond or anything. So I get taken after getting strip searched for the first time. And I remember the lady told me to squat. And I did, but my legs were messed up and my feet were messed up. So I couldn't squat very deep. And I just remember her yelling at me, screaming at me, squat. I was like, oh God. So it was kind of funny looking back on it. But and then she takes me upstairs to, the jail, which was a madhouse, a madhouse. And the first person I saw was this really butch, huge, shaved head girl. And she looked just like a guy. And I was like, I literally said to the CO, I said, I think you took me to the wrong one because I thought I was going into the male prison, male jail. But it wasn't. That girl's name was Man Man, as a matter of fact. And we became really good friends. She was actually cool as hell. So, scared to death, didn't know what was happening. I'm going to fast forward all the court stuff, which I will tell somebody at length that they're wanting to listen. But basically, I ended up staying in jail like 25 days that first time until they lowered my bond to 20,000. And a friend of mine actually bonded me out, and I had to be on house arrest till they're making this sound like extra of Golden Girls. It wasn't any Golden Girls, let me tell you what. It was very rough. What was most rough about it, obviously the food is horrible. The people are horrible. The sleeping is horrible. You're bored. There's nothing you can do. It's loud. But I was in so much pain. That was the thing that had gotten me, and still throughout my entire times being incarcerated, I was in so much pain. And, if I couldn't get help out in the free world, I sure as heck am going to get help, thank you, Diane, inside of a jail. You know what I mean? So that was the part. I just had to be really mentally strong, I guess. And I realized there was absolutely nothing that I could do. And, I couldn't even kill myself. They don't let you do that. But, truly, that wasn't even a thought in my head. Well, it might have been. I can't remember. So I get bonded out to my house arrest until my court date, which was like a couple months later. And believe me, house arrest was nothing. I could leave the house from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I mean, it was nothing. So I had a job, everything. It was fine. Wait. By this time, you had withdrawal symptoms yet? Hey, Jude, thank you so much for your questions. A little bit. I didn't even recognize them as withdrawals. I remember that first night I was very sweaty, very sweaty, but not, I soon came to find out what real withdrawals were. Maybe felt a little bit achy, but no, I really didn't because I was not taking that much. I would take just enough to make it through the day. And I was taking very low doses. I didn't keep increasing, like I wasn't trying to get high, basically. So I really didn't. I really did not have, if it was maybe for a night and it wasn't too bad. Okay. So when I get out, okay, I got sentenced to probation and I had to go to either jail for 30 days or rehab for 30 days. And of course, I picked rehab. I'm going to skip over the incidentals. People who are unfortunately have been can relate to what I'm going to say. Once you are in the system, in particular if you are on probation, they want to keep you there. They want to violate your probation and they want to get more charges. They actually get bonuses for this and pizza parties and stuff like this. So, up until that point, yes, I had done wrong. What happened afterwards was not my fault. I did not do anything wrong, but my probation got violated, and I had to do they call it a CRV, which was 90 days in prison. Well, you had to spend at least 1 day in prison, but it was like 90 days. And what I ended up doing was half in jail, and then they took me half to prison, which scared the crap out of me. I had no idea. When I went to that court date, I thought I was going home. So it was a surprise to everybody. But and in between that period of time, I can't remember. I know what it was. That's when I started taking Lyrica. Um, because I kind of self-diagnosed myself as having some kind of neuropathy. I knew that that was what was going on, but I didn't know why and I didn't know how to fix it. And anybody who has neuropathy, sometimes it's not painful, sometimes it's just numbness. But I had the numbness and excruciating, constant pain. Um, there's nothing you can do about it. Some people have neuropathy from chemotherapy. Most people have it from being diabetic. I wasn't diabetic. So they didn't know what was causing it. I remember eating a bunch of shellfish because that was supposed to help with B12. I mean, everything, researching it constantly, all that kind of stuff. So I was taking Lyrica, and Lyrica did take away most of my pain, but it made me, first, I gained a whole bunch of weight, and it made me like, I would fall asleep at stoplights. Like I was just out of it all the time. Um, and then, of course, when I ended up having to do those 90 days, I wasn't on that anymore. And I remember I lost a bunch of weight, I came out, and by that point in time, I calculated that, I had done quite a bit of time during those like 6 months. I had spent a lot of my life locked up and I had made friends with people. And the bad part is when you become friends with people while you're in jail or prison or whatever, you see the side of them, you see the sober side of them. And, I'm like I am in real life. When I was there, I was social. And we ended up, even with our pathetic existence, somehow we would make it fun. We would try to have a good time and try to laugh and share stories. And of course, everybody saw me in horrible pain. And so they would say things to me like, when you get out, we'll get in touch with each other and I'll get you something to make you feel better. I have my connection, blah, 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 blah. And my mistake was when I did get out, I did get in touch with one of those people. And I remember, I think they gave me some Suboxone sometimes, which actually did help with my pain, which was great here and there. And basically, what it did is introduce me to more bad people, harder drugs, criminal lifestyles. And I had become more attached, more familiar with that than with my real friends, my real life, my real family. And I don't know how to explain that. I don't know where it came from. Probably a mix of being locked up for a while, my life being taken away from me, not having a job, and being in awful pain and wanting it to go away, and knowing what those pills had done for me before, and thinking if I could get them again, everything would be fine. Until slowly it got worse and worse. And during that next year, it was awful. I can just tell you brief stories of my mother didn't know where I was for many months at a time. I lived in a car. I slept in a barn, doing all kinds, not all kinds of criminal activity. Basically, what I did was shoplift and find stuff that my dealer at the time would want. Which, by the way, the first one I was. I'll just tell you this briefly. He had just gotten out of prison for 10 years for 10 years selling heroin. Got back out and basically did the same thing. But he wanted to buy all the stuff for his family for Christmas, so he would send me on a shopping list basically, and that's how it first started. And um, it just got worse and worse and worse and more desperate and more dirty and just being more and more surrounded by deeper people with deeper addictions, and it just everything that you can possibly think of besides murder and child abuse I saw up close and personal. Been on massive drug runs with, $20,000 worth of drugs in the car, going across state lines. I mean, just stuff that could have gotten me in horrible trouble. Um, Wrong people, all that kind of stuff. Till I finally got caught again. It was actually 4 years ago, yesterday. It was April 1st. I just now thought about that. And by that point in time, I was very addicted, and had gone through withdrawals and knew that the desperation comes. Anybody who knows to pain medicine or opiates, you get to a point that you don't even want to use it anymore, but the fear of going into those withdrawals will make you kill your sister. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but not really. I mean, I remember somebody saying they'll step over their dead mother's body to get to the drug because that's how horrible the withdrawals are. And mine was compounded by the fact that not only was I going to go into withdrawals horribly, but then my pain was going to come back too, that horrible chronic pain. So I was like doubly motivated not to feel that way. Well, April 1st, I finally get caught, and this time I'm not going home. They're taking me with them. And I'm begging them. I had gotten the first sore on my foot that was not healing. And I said, I've got a sore in the bottom of my foot. I need to go to the doctor. Please just let me go to the doctor. And it's actually literally on the way to the doctor. And I thought, oh, good, I can get a legitimate prescription. Something's really wrong with me. Well, I didn't have that in my plans for me. And thankfully so. By the way, during that year time, I almost died several times. I mean, I'm skipping over because it's too gruesome and graphic to even go into here. But it was bad, okay? I've seen the bad side of life. Um, so I get caught that April 1st, 4 years ago. And this time it's in Durham, which is the sister county over here. And Durham is not a nice place. But I had been to jail before. I thought, oh, no problem, I can do this. Well, this jail was on a lockdown because some of the men there, they found shanks and stuff, and they were threatening to kill one of the COs. So they had us on a 23-hour a day lockdown. And it was actually every other day we got to get out for 1 hour to take a shower, make a phone call, and then lock down. It was horrific. That alone was horrific. But then I was in horrible withdrawals, shitting on myself, throwing up on myself, shaking, sneezing, yawning. It was just everything horrible, horrible, horrible. And then also in really bad pain. So I had to spend Easter weekend. Not my family didn't. I couldn't make any phone calls because I didn't have any money, and I was also in lockdown. So I just lay there on the cement floor, just not even strong enough to cry, but just thinking, God Almighty, this has got to be hell on earth. And I ended up getting. I didn't even know this is what I mean why things don't really bother me. There were several times where I had to sit outside of a courtroom in the, where they keep the prisoners, not knowing my fate, not having a clue whether I was going to get a year, 7 years, 7 years. I had no idea. And not even knowing, who my lawyer was going to be because it was a court appointed attorney. And just saying it's up to God's hands. I can't freak out about it. I just got to go in there and face my punishment. So I ended up doing 9 months. And prison is a lot better than jail, a lot better than jail, but it's still awful, awful. No air conditioning, dirty, gross, horrible food, horrible people, all the same things, but more to do. Let's put it that way. So I made the best of it. I got involved with any activity I could, took all the classes I could, and got, my mind straight again. It takes a while for those drugs to get out of your body and for you to stop dreaming about them every night and for you to stop thinking about every second of the day. It takes a long time. Excuse me for a second. Okay, sorry, that was nobody. So anyway, I did, I think it was about 9 months. I spent my birthday, spent days in there, but it was okay. You make the best of it. And the great was, the medical team that's part of prison usually is not very adept, but for some reason, by the grace of God, I got a doctor that really cared about me and wanted to know why the hell this was happening to me. Why did I feel so bad? And by this point in time, I had really gotten, like I said, I had a sore on my foot. I was starting to get some deformity in my right foot specifically. And so they could kind of tell something was wrong. So it took a long time. He put an order for me to see a neurologist and to have a nerve conduction study done. So believe it or not, I got diagnosed while I was in prison. I was actually in Greenville at the time, and I was in maximum security for like most of my about 7 months out of the time, and then I got moved to minimum security. So I was in Greenville, and they did a nerve conduction study, and I remember that it was funny because everybody knew that I was coming in from the prison. I could tell everybody was like, oh, ooh, wow, that she doesn't look like she's in prison. Because in minimum security prison, I think we had jeans and like a green button down shirt. And I had really tell that I was anything unusual. And I wasn't, you don't have to be handcuffed when you're in minimum. So anyway, they do the nerve conduction study where they stick a bunch of needles into your different parts of your foot and then send an electric pulse through it and see how your nerves react. Well, they kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. I remember the guy called in his supervisor and they kept sticking me, sticking me, sticking me, and they thought the machine was broken. But it turned out that my nerves were so bad, they just could not get them to react, basically, that it was like off the charts. So they finally upped the charge and they were able to get it fixed. But they diagnosed me with CMT, which is Charcot-Marie-Tooth syndrome. It's kind of almost a form of muscular dystrophy. And some people who have it eventually are in wheelchairs and can't walk. I've been pretty lucky that, well, not really. I've had a lot of issues, as you all know, but it affects different people differently. And sometimes people have pain associated with it, and sometimes they don't. Well, I definitely do. By the way, my cousin got diagnosed with the same thing, so it was kind of ironic. She doesn't have the pain. She has to wear braces on her feet, but she doesn't have pain like I do. So when I finally got out, I can tell that story another time, but like I've said before, I didn't even want to tell my family or friends because I was so ashamed. By the way, the whole time I was in prison that time, I did not get any help from anybody, which anybody who knows, that's very hard. Um, I just relied on other people to help me, which thank God they did. I was able to make friends and people, help me, let me use their shampoo and lotion. And my biggest thing is I wanted to get a pair of shoes because my feet were in such bad shape. And I remember somebody was leaving. I'd go for a while without them. I remember I lost every single toenail. But they left me their pair of shoes when they were getting released. So that was great. But I just didn't want anybody to help me because I had done this to myself and I was embarrassed. But I wrote to my mom and let her know where I was and wrote her several times, letting her know what I was doing and that I was getting better. So when I got out, I and I wanted to get a doctor to help me. Now that I had a diagnosis, I thought, okay, I can finally get help. And that is what I did. It's been over 3 years, and it's been hard. And, I've spent most of the majority of my time going to doctors and trying to get help. But that's what I've done, and that's what I've committed my life to. And my mom really realized too how serious it was, and she was able to retire and help me take care of me a lot too. So that was a wonderful blessing. But I've had several surgeries. My feet have gotten worse. It's not something. It's a degenerative disease, so it's never going to get better. There is no cure. It's just a matter of managing the pain and hopefully keeping your feet from getting too messed up. So that's my story. That's the truth of it. I never sold my pussy for Percocet. I have a hard time even saying that. Um, what are the other lies? I did used to shoplift like expensive purses because on them and get a little bit of money. That is true. I did say that in one of my chats. I should have even shared that, but um, I can't remember the other lies and stuff that have been said. But if there's any other questions, I'll be glad to. Oh, you sweet thing. Thank you, Amber. Um, y'all are gonna make me cry. So yeah, it's been very, very hard, and I feel like I lost my life because of it, because of what I. But I just had to do life. I felt like this pain has taken away my life too. I can't do all the things that I want, the person that I wanted to be. This isn't what I imagined I would be doing of my life, but you just have to be graceful and do the best you can and try to stay clean. That's the most important part. I don't ever want to feel that struggle again of being dependent on opiates all the time. So thank you, Nikki. But truthfully, other than that one person and the other couple. Nobody's ever really judged me. If they have, they haven't done it publicly. Thank you all for that. And coming on here and hearing, first it was B who didn't judge me, and I didn't even know she had a story, but I just remember she said, we all have a story, and she didn't judge me. And then Randy and Stephanie and Amber. No, I'm okay. I'm crying. Um, just it's more of a happy tears because you all showed so much love to me, and there's a lot of good people that have a past and better people if they can come out on the other side after what we go through. And I know people have similar stories and similar struggles. So you all are very brave too, and I see you. You know, Amber Love has a very similar situation to me, pain-wise, and has a similar story. Um, so this really was in response to my last video. One of the, I don't know if they were a troll or not, but they said, how can I ever trust somebody like you? You're a felon. I would never respect you or listen to what you say. And I just said, you don't have to listen to me or trust me, but I wish you would understand my story before you judged me and what led me down this path. I wanted this for myself, but I honestly didn't feel like I had a choice at the time. So it's helped me to be less judgmental and more kind, and more sympathetic to people who are in chronic pain and who deal with wanting to take their life because of it. Because I get it, but Christy in the Carolinas, I've mentioned several times, deals with more pain than I do on an everyday basis. And other people who have CRPS, I know, sweet, I just found out Jesse Paul has that too. So, I mean, these people are heroes. They go through so much every single day. And those people who do have their health and can get up in the morning and go for a run or a walk and not even think about their body hurting them horribly, you are so lucky. And I would give, like I said before, I would give 20 years of the rest of my life to be able to feel that way for 10 years, you know? So, does anybody have any questions? You aren't perfectly perfect. Exactly. I love you, Nikki. And I just, it's been such a gift to find all you. Thank you, Sweet Meadow. But thank you, Amber. Thank you, Candace. Yeah, laced up with Lacey in my life too. I wasn't, when I finally got on it, I wasn't using it because I had been locked up for so long. Yeah, but Christy, I know how bad yours is. I do. Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, Nikki, thank you. I'm going to go back and read all these comments. They're going by kind of fast, so I'll go back and say that. Hey, Tracy, what you said. Tracy, I saw you had a question. Say that again, honey. Amanda, I know, honey. Hey, Art. Hey, Penny. What was I saying? I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, thank you, sweet things. No, I did not have a hard time. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I started taking Suboxone after, I wasn't using. But I explained to them what my situation was and that I had to be on some kind of pain medicine. And I had known from the past that Suboxone helped my pain. So that's the reason. Um, IBL just asked, was it hard for me during the surgeries to, because of course I had to be on pain medicine. See, Marie, it's Swami Ninja. It's in my about. I would love to talk to you. I love you, see, Marie. But it's in my description. Thank you, Hope with Peace. You all are so sweet to me. Um, so, IBL. When I had my different surgeries, I had to, I think the doctors gave me, it was like 3 or 4 days worth of um, a prescription. And for me, I was the first time about taking it, and I had people, and I wasn't alone. I was being monitored. And it wasn't hard for me. And this was a mixed blessing, or not a mixed blessing, a blessing. I have such a high tolerance, or I developed such a high tolerance, I mean, crazy high, that taking those medicines did not get me high, even a time, even though I had been clean for so many years, that I was able to take them and it took away the pain that it needed to, but I didn't get that rush. So it didn't trigger me to abuse them because I could have probably taken the whole bottle and not felt anything. So it didn't really bother me. And I didn't take them more than the 3 days. I think one time I only took it like one day afterwards. But I got I had a spinal cord stimulator placed this past summer, and it failed. It got infected. So I had to have it taken out, and the surgery to have it put in was. But when I had it out, even though they were, cutting through infection and everything, it was like I had nothing done almost. It was so less painful when I got it out. So that time only took like a day's worth. No, it is very, very hard to get prescription now, and I don't think that's fair at all because people need them. People need them. They are created. Opium is a creation from God, in my opinion, because He knew we were going to have pain. Yes, it's abused, of course, but if you can be honest with your doctor, you're going to get physically addicted to pain medicine if you take it more than 2 weeks. But you can also taper off of that and get it out of your system correctly. If that's what you need, that's what you need. You can't, I think it's inhumane to keep that from people who need it. And I remember being an advocate for me, saying, Marla, don't let them not give you if you are in pain after surgery or after dental work or whatever, take what you need. That is, you are still a human being. And you don't need to be deprived of medical advances and medicine and stuff just because of your past. So I didn't have a problem with that IBL, but of course, other people, everybody's different. And I had Suboxone to go right back on, so that helped too. And that probably was the reason I didn't feel it, because Suboxone is opiate blocker, but it's more complex than that. It's more like anyway, I won't go into all of that. Yes, it has been through a hell of a lot. That's why it pisses me off when I see people taking advantage of showing her mug shots just to take a pot shot at her, not knowing what the hell that she has been through. It's disgusting. And I hope those people who are doing that are damn sure fucking perfect, is what I gotta say. Stellar. Hello, my beautiful Stellar. Yes. Oh, no, I didn't talk to them about ketamine. Um, I haven't been able to find another. That pain management doctor that I was going to is the one who did my surgery and botched it up. So I haven't actually found it. Um, so I'm not going to tell you everything, like what I'm taking exactly right now, but I'll be glad to share in private with people. But let me tell you what, when that evil one, I didn't hear her streams or streams, etc. But through different people's videos, I saw, yeah, she started about my bug. She told you were gorgeous. And she bragged about not having one. Exactly. Should have marked her words. I tell you what. Well, I'm not going to say that, but we'll just see. Let's put it that way. But when I heard her say in one of these recent streams, using my name, Marla, saying, Marla, why don't you just go back to just take the Percocet. Go and take it. That is so triggering, so wrong to say to somebody that you know has dealt with addiction. That, I was talking to Diane, that would be like telling an anorexic to shove their face full of food. You do not say that to even somebody that you hate. So, I don't know about ketamine, Christy. I remember asking them about this is what I found. If you go in there and right now their big thing are spinal cord stimulators. That's what everybody's talking about. I told you that story how I waited to see that one pain doctor for months, and then he said me because the only thing that he was doing was pain stimulators. Oh, Eric, I don't remember you being evil to me. Oh, sorry, she's being evil to you. I was going to say I don't remember you being evil. It's okay. It really doesn't bother me. Like I said, I've been through hell. So her little dumb shit doesn't bother me. But that one comment was upsetting. Thank you, Tilly. Um, can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah, her brain is not hooked up correctly, and apparently she's so called in recovery. Well, I call bullshit. Yeah, bullshit, Nikki. They asked me if I wanted to try it, and I said absolutely not. I'm not doing anything like therapy as spread more than it is. Yeah, it didn't really help me. It helped maybe a tiny bit, but like I said, it failed anyway. Christy, but what I was going to say, when I mentioned about, I remember, I don't know if it was you said you would be really eligible, a good candidate for a pain pump. If you say that to any of these doctors, I swear they all look at you like, nope. If you even say pain, it is such a taboo word. And I don't know if it's where I live or what. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure you experience the same thing, but nobody will treat it. Like your general doctor will refer you to a specialist, and the specialist will refer you to nobody wants to, nobody wants to be your patient, wants you to be their patient. So thank you, Embry. But I found some things that work for the most part, but I still am in terrible pain. I'm in awful pain every single day of my life, every single morning, until I can get some medicine inside me and have it dissolve and be able to get out of bed. But it's a very much so an awful, awful daily struggle. And I don't even know what it would be like to not have a day with pain. Unless I was taking massive amounts of opiates. That's the only time I would know what a pain free day was. That's why it bothers me too. And that doesn't just bother me, it bothers so many other people who uh, hear somebody say that they are in awful chronic pain while they're running on the treadmill, and jumping up out of bed first thing. So, I hope that's the truth. I hope that you can still do that. Um, I wish that for all of you. JS, honey, I've been there. And please just don't stop because you have got to get help. Don't stop. Keep looking, keep looking. There's got to be something that can give you some. Because I didn't sleep for a long time and it makes you insane. That's bullshit, exactly. Little bulldog. Yes, exactly. Hey, Penny. I think I said hi to you earlier, but I remember seeing you last night, honey. You live in chronic pain too. It's awful. Thank you for telling me you know how I feel. I feel very alone. It was very scary at first. I mean, it still is scary, and you for me to think of the future, because if I'm this bad when I'm 39, what's going to happen in 10 years, in 20 years? It gets worse. It doesn't get better. So those type of things are frightening to me. And times where I get jealous of people, not jealous, but I hear about somebody dying of cancer and, they're able to get whatever they need so they're not in pain. And I think, oh my, that would be nice. I know that sounds sick, but the idea of not having to deal with this pain every day is pleasant. It's a happy thought to me. I hope Jesus does come back within my lifetime. I hope he comes back tomorrow. That would be great. So, I hope that I'm not saying anything that's scary to people, but I know that all of you who suffer with chronic pain know exactly what I'm saying. Okay, Brooks, I'll look for it, honey. Pain is exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting. I'm where you're at mentally too. I don't want to think about the future. Yeah. And I do. I get envious of somebody who I don't want to take my own life and I don't want to die, but I think, oh gosh, it would be nice to know it's over, that suffering is over. Yes, I know. Well, it seems like everybody in here is kind of in similar situations. Envy people who are healthy and pain free. And I always think, at least I got 30 good years. It's changed me physically. Like I said, I've obviously gained a lot of weight and I'm not active like I want to be, but I just, like I said, you just have to try to be graceful about it and do the best you can. We at least deserve pain management. Hey, peace, love, and that's scary. You have lupus. Yeah, that's an awful thing. I saw a lot of people struggling with that. Yeah, wanting to end, but don't give up. Just don't give up. And I believe in God, and I believe that He is for me, and eventually all this will be worth it for some good, for something. Oh, you are too, Amber, and I know you have a story, but anybody who's dealing with addiction issues, there is nothing, and I promise you, nothing you can tell me that will shock me or make me think less of you. I guarantee you, I did it. The lies, the stealing, the horrible person that you become, I guarantee you there's nothing you can say that will shock me. So if you're in a situation where you need help, you're probably not watching this because I sure as hell wasn't watching YouTube when I was out doing what I was doing. But if you are, if you know somebody, you can always reach out to me. Always. Oh, you're welcome, Kim. So I said I wasn't going to be on too long, and I think it's been over an hour. So I will just tell you that I love you and thank you for listening to my story. And I hope that cleared up some things for people who maybe didn't know, or some new people, and maybe stop some rumors. Oh yes, that's the last thing I want to say, Canuck lady. You smoke medical marijuana for pain and PTSD. I just desperately think that that would help me. And unfortunately, in our state, it is not legal. So, something I've seriously looked into is what's the closest state that I could go to that would help me. And actually, to the south, it's Georgia. They only approve it for 5 conditions, and one of them is mine. So I thought, okay, or you could go. It's legal in Maryland, but they're not selling it yet. The next state would be Delaware, where my uncle lives. So I mean, I've thought about it because it's almost like if that could help me and help me, so I didn't have to take other medicines, it would be like winning the lottery. Thank you, Robin. Oh, glad. Thank you for asking those questions, IBL. They were really important. Sassy Cat, well, please mail me some. I'm just kidding. I hope so, Christy. God, I hope so. Oh, I would love to go to Canada, LC. That would be awesome. Yeah, I like Canada. I mean, I've never been, but it seems like I would be right up my alley because I'm hot all the time. And oh, hey, Minnie, I'm glad you found my channel. Yes, yay. Thank you. Yes, everybody stay strong. I'm sure I'll be back on real soon. And thank you guys for watching, okay? I love you guys. No, Virginia didn't yet. I don't think so. Oh God, California is my dream. I have my heart's in California, sassy. So don't even tempt me. I'm gonna go live with Wendy. She just doesn't know it yet. I love you too, Amanda. I really do. I love you, Donna. Oh, Nikki, you found my Christmas present. I can use a Christmas present right about now. Yes, Robin, I am. I would love to visit Canada. Okay. I love all your comments, guys, and have a great night, okay? I'll be on again real soon. Fun. Like I still have to make those scones, so maybe I'll come on tomorrow and we'll make those scones. Bye.